Welcome to the return slot of horror, a podcast set in the basement of a video store, a place where your hosts, Mickey and Michelangelo, hang out after hours, enjoy spooky cocktails, and can't seem to wax poetic enough about their love for horror films. We invite you to grab a drink, be careful on the stairs, and join us on our journey through the many subsections of our little video store. And don't be the last one left in the basement at the end of the night.
Welcome, listener, to the return slot of horror. We are a podcast recorded in the basement of our video store. We are friends, typically three of us, who own and operate said video store after hours when the doors are locked. The VHSs are rewound and the moon is glowing pale blue on a brisk and breezy night. We like to hang out in the basement, crack open a drink, and discuss our beloved genre, horror.
It gets a little lower each
It's
time.
a little goaty too.
Horror. Willow.
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 Horror has intrigued, disturbed, delighted, aroused, and confused us. We are totally helplessly in love with it. Every episode, we invite you, listener, to join us for a drink as we discuss a film selected from one of our painstakingly curated subsections of the video store. For those of you not lucky enough to have grown up with like a mom and pop or independent video store, Mickey, can you could sort of explain what that means?
Sure. Well, back in the day, before there was streaming, before Blockbuster, there were independent video stores. And to appease the appetite of movie nerds like myself and Michelangelo, they would work directly with distributors to fill the shelves. Now, these mom and pop shops were responsible for taking genre films like horror, our favorite genre, from limited run theaters and late night drive ins to every small town in America. But what really made these video stores special were the people working in the store, curating personalized sections based on their interests and the interests of their patrons. It was a way they made recommendations based on conversations and not algorithms. So here at the return slot, we keep that spirit alive and strong. We hope you enjoy perusing our sections with us and joining in on our conversations. And we could not be more thrilled than to be right here on YouTube right now, thanks to Red Tower.
Yeah, check out Red Tower. They're a horror channel
Yes.
on YouTube. They're fantastic.
They've been awesome to partner with. They've got a huge collection of spooky goodness, things
So
that
much.
genre fans will love no matter your tastes. Do you like the spooky monsters of the Universal Studios? You'll love them. Do you like slashers? You'll love them. You got to check them out. Red Tower.
Yeah, beautifully put. I mean, you could spend all day at the video store trying to find Monster Squad, not knowing
Sure.
that it's in where? What section would Monster Squad be in?
Obviously, child frights.
Obviously.
Obviously.
And how would you know that? You would have to have a conversation with the people who work there.
The people who work there, yeah.
So this week we find ourselves in the Werewolf
Werewolf.
section of the video store.
Werewolf? There. What? Werewolf.
Now, Mickey, are we film critics?
No,
Are we like film historians?
absolutely not.
No, we're just regular people trying to shine a light on our love, our thoughts, our experiences, and feelings, how these films have connected and bonded us. We're just fans, and we're bringing our personal experiences to these films.
Two dudes duding it in a basement talking about movies.
Now, that said, sometimes a film, we might have like a critical thought or a critique. And we're not saying that we could do better.
Oh, absolutely
not. But please understand, listener, it's all coming from a place of love, and we're here to celebrate the movies that we're talking about. Now, before we jump into that movie, two things. One, we have a special guest this evening.
Hey.
Listener, you know this person already. They are the first voice you hear of every episode, and she has also been involved in a lot of the sketches that Mickey has written to
Yeah.
promote
Little
certain
little
things.
promos, little intros, little commercial bits here and there. She's got her fingers all over this podcast, and she is sitting down to join us for this film.
Welcome. Welcome to the return slot of horror. Did you want
That
me
was
to do
great.
That was
But
great.
we
That
are,
was
but I already,
that
but I already kind of did that at the beginning.
Yeah, you
you're
did do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was perfect.
Draggy.
Molly, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Just sitting here using my finger to twirl my drink, getting ready for it.
She's all about the drink part of the show.
Speaking
Yeah, I
of
thought it was a
drinks,
drinking show, and then
it
you were like, "We gotta watch a movie first. And I was
people
like,
people
"Oh,
who love drinking and like movies.
yeah."
So speaking of drinking, Molly, what are you having this evening?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would love. Did you make a spooky cocktail? Because it
I
looks like
sure
a
did.
cocktail.
It's
I
a
sure
spooky
did, and I left
cocktail.
a stirring spoon in the kitchen, so I'm using my finger.
Uh-oh.
Now normally I don't use ice. However, I am because this is a special occasion. But it is melting fast. So my drink is my own concoction that I came up with, and it is. Let me get the name right. It is a ragtime ginger mall fashioned.
Obviously, a reference to the book.
Let me tell you what's in it.
I would love to
Um,
know.
it has Elijah Craig's small batch bourbon.
Gotta do that small batch.
I realized I don't have anything to muddle ginger, so I just, I
You slash it.
used a spoon. Yeah, I just kind of chopped up the ginger in the bottom of the glass, put my Elijah Craig in, and then I did a teaspoon of cherry juice in honor of periods. You're welcome. And 2 cherries because, well, they go together. So,
Oh,
That sounds
wow.
sounds
Yikes.
wonderful. I want to order
The
that at the bar.
only a drink that she could get away with.
it's actually delicious. It's delicious.
That's going to go really well with the film we're watching tonight, which we will get into. Mickey, what are you having?
Actually, I did not make a spooky cocktail. I'm having a Hornitos tequila seltzer, mango, only 100 calories.
Ooh,
Trying
keeping
to
it tight.
trying to watch the carbs.
Trying to fit into those high school jeans.
trying to fit into my high school jeans. There you go. That's it. I want to get my
All right.
wolf man body right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep that wolf man
Hey,
tight.
it's working.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's so nice of you to say.
You meant hairy chest, right? Wolfman?
Yes.
No, you
Yeah.
meant- okay,
yeah.
great. Okay.
I do have
Actually, it's
wolfman
not
legs.
working then.
I
Yeah.
do have
Oh
wolfman
God,
legs.
his legs scared me when I met him. They're
It's
very hairy.
My brother used to
They're
always
very
say
hairy.
Mickey was born with wool socks.
It's true. It's true. He puts shorts on, walks outside. It's like 50 degrees. I'm like,
It-
is it cold? And he's
I'm,
like,
I'm
no, it feels
perfectly fine.
great.
I'm perfectly
He's
fine.
like, it would feel great too if I had wool socks for legs.
I look like Mr. Timnus from or Tumnus from The Witch in the Wardrobe.
Wardrobe,
movie.
yeah. Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe?
Just all like hairy legs, but bare
Tumnus.
chest, bare
Yeah.
chest, all hairy legs.
Have you ever shaved your legs?
I did when I was in high school. I was
How long that take?
How many
bit.
razors?
I don't know. They're all my sisters. But
Ooh.
I shaved them when I was in I think 9th grade, and my excuse was that I was shaving them to be faster at track. The reality was I was shaving them to shave them,
Yeah.
and not a good look because like within like 2 days it looked real bad. It's like I could not wear shorts.
Prickly pear.
At the rate that your face grows hair, it was probably like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like a 5 o'clock shadow on my leg.
Have you shaved them as an adult? Has Molly ever seen you with shaved legs?
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely
that'd be
not.
weird.
Actually, you
Women
know what?
think that it's weird when men shave their. Because I'm a guy who's shaved my legs many times, and I stopped.
I don't necessarily think it's weird. I mean, I knew, guys that I went to high school with, they would shave. Wrestlers would shave their
Yeah,
legs and arms. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the consensus I learned was that I was doing it to be more attractive to women, and most women found it weird. They were
Okay.
like, "You
Oh.
can trim your leg hair, but like baby smooth is a little odd."
Baby smooth.
Uh,
Yeah,
baby smooth legs.
I like to curl up to a little bit of hair on the legs.
Also depends on, like, what you start out with. Like, Mickey's would be weird because,
Yeah.
again, starting
Come
with
on,
wool
Molly,
socks.
be honest.
Yeah.
Do they kind of?
You
Is it kind of comforting? Is it kind of comforting?
Yes. I feel like I'm supposed to say yes.
I mean, I know
what is
you.
your
Be
real
honest.
feelings though?
Yeah, what's your real feelings? Well,
I
be
mean,
open.
it's pretty neutral. I really don't have comforting or not comforting.
Well, you know what's gonna happen tonight. I'm gonna put those bad boys right on you.
No, thank you.
They are married. If you obviously, if you've been listening to the
Oh
podcast,
yeah,
you know Mickey and Molly are married. They are a couple. There is consent.
Oh, I've mentioned you enough on this. If you're a regular listener, you know who Molly
Yeah.
is.
One last thing about your legs, though.
though we could go on all
L-
night.
I could talk about your legs forever, Mickey.
Sure.
And they go on
Good shape,
forever.
well-shaped legs.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And you, with as hairy as your legs are, you must have been a little faster.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know. In track, I was faster. I can promise you, swimming, I would have been faster.
Yeah, that's like 10 pounds of hair gone from
Yeah.
your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
had like kind of like in Teen Wolf when he's wearing his little shorts and he's playing basketball.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
Yeah.
you!
I wasn't far
Hey,
off. I wasn't far off.
Halloween costume!
I don't have to buy anything for it.
Figured it out!
um, so I'm having a beer from Talea Beer Brewery. It's a female-owned and operated brewery, and I'm having the Weekender at Bonnie's, which is a lager. It's got citrus ginger, and
Nice.
it's refreshingly crisp. And
All right.
I should also mention for the listener, uh, Molly, you got red hair.
You do have red hair.
You have
Do,
very red hair.
Very red.
though I was never called nobody ever called me Ginger, but I have been called Red.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you haven't been called Ginger because like you don't like? I've never met you face to face except for
Mhm.
this evening, and I don't see any freckles.
No freckles.
That's
No, but my, so I have 2 younger brothers, and the youngest brother got everybody's freckles.
Poor
That is
guy.
true. Yeah.
Mhm. But we all have different shades of red hair. It's all different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got the comic book red hair.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I'd
the
say
more
so.
Yeah.
the more gingery. It's more of a ginger red hair. Yeah. And then my the oldest of the younger brothers has more of the orange, and then the little brother has like that auburn, like that
Yeah.
the dark red hair. Yeah.
Do you find it's harder for men who are redheads than women?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's everything's harder for women. We're gonna talk about
Mostly.
that when we get into this
but
film.
as a redhead,
yeah,
I think for sure it has to be harder to be a boy and have red hair, right?
I think
Yeah,
so. I think
they
so.
Yeah.
they are
think so.
targeted during dodgeball. That is for sure.
Mhm. Especially if you have freckles
Mm-hmm.
and you're a boy and red hair. I know. Yeah.
So tonight we are talking about the 2000 Canadian coming-of-age lycanthropy horror film Ginger Snaps, written by Karen Walton and directed by John Fawcett. A film that proves women, even young women, do not need a man's muscular arms to save them, and that mothers truly are the fucking best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Willing to do anything for you.
This film stars Emily Perkins, Catherine Isabel, and Mimi Rogers, among others. And I got to tell you, Mimi Rogers knocks it out of the park,
He
in my
was so
opinion.
good, and
Yeah.
also her hair was
Oh.
incredible.
Yeah.
Those 2 little forehead curls that she
Yep.
was like
Yeah.
perfectly, that gel. They were crispy. I'm sure they were crispy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about ginger snaps tonight?
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Why are we, Michelangelo?
I know it's like because I'm hosting, I gotta like tee it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then you shoot
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
back.
I
You
don't.
shoot
I don't.
it
I don't, I
back
don't
at
know. Why?
me.
Why? Why are we? Why are we watching Ginger
Wait,
Snaps?
say it again. Say it again.
Why are we watching ginger snaps tonight?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Why
Why
are we
are we
watching
watching
Ginger Snaps?
Ginger Snaps?
So I had never seen ginger snaps before, but I had always heard about it. With a lot of reverence from the people who talked about it. Is this your guys' first time watching it?
I have never even heard of it,
Yeah.
nor have I seen it, and I will tell you, probably because it's because of what the movie is about, which
Yeah.
is probably why I've never heard of it.
This was also my
Ooh,
first watch.
uh, I wanna unpack that, Molly. What do you
Well,
mean?
it's
Could
I
you
mean,
elaborate?
yeah, because it's a female-driven film about periods and werewolves. I mean, it's you probably didn't hear about it because it's all women and it talks about periods, and who wants to watch that, you know?
I do.
I mean, I do.
I
And
did. I liked it.
actually, it has what is it, like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Something like
Oh,
that. Yeah.
Something like that,
yeah.
it's incredible, and
It's
actually it was
beloved.
really good. People should know about it.
Yes, spoiler alert, I think we all love this movie, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so I
give
had
it 2
seen it for the
snaps.
two
Sorry.
2 snaps?
2 s
2 snaps from a ginger, everybody. That's a big deal.
Um,
Ew.
so I saw this for the first time a few years ago. It was something I finally got around to seeing, and yeah, I was completely blown away by it. I have to say, this is legit not far off from what it is like to grow up with siblings and to go through puberty. It pulled me in immediately. As an adult man, I'm watching this and I'm learning things about myself, about what young women go through in puberty, and I'm totally empathetic to not only Ginger and Bridget, but to their mother as well. We become slaves
And the dad.
to the poor dad. He's
The
wonderful. We'll
dad's
get
just like that. He's just sitting at the end of the table. He sits at the head of the table and he's just like, "Wait, what? 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 What's going on?
totally
What?"
detached from everything that's happening.
What's the mom
Uh,
say? The mom says she says something like, "Oh, you don't oh, you wouldn't understand," or "Oh, you don't," or I wanna say it's something like, "Stay in your lane," but I know that that's not the right dialogue. I don't
yeah,
know. I can't remember
and
what
he
she said.
and he's like, "Don't you think that, like they're listening to what you have to say? Isn't that weird?
Oh,
Don't you think
yes,
something's strange
yes,
because of
like,
that?"
"Oh my god, why would they listen to you? Isn't that strange?"
Um, I it's so interesting as a man to connect to this story, and identify with the character so immediately, especially as an adult looking back and remembering what it was like during that time and how we become a slave. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I do, that we become a slave to our bodies once puberty hits. Everything you've built in regards to your individuality as like a child kind of goes out the window once those hormones start coming in. And
And then you
like
have it for the next how many years?
she said,
Next
like 30 30
40
30 30
years,
40
35
50 years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously we invited Molly on this podcast because we needed to explain to a woman what is happening in the
Yeah.
movie.
I
And it
appreciate it.
really, like,
I
I don't know if
appreciate it too, 'cause
I don't
I was watching and I was like, "Now what is that? What is happening? Did she cut
it's
her
a
leg? What is that?
metaphor.
Why
It's
does
I
she
a
was
have
like,
blood on her
I,
leg?"
metaphor.
I had to sit
Uh-huh.
there with Molly and be like, Molly, now you understand, right? They're teenage girls and they are having this experience. That's the stranger is visiting.
Mhm.
The curse.
On the rag. What is that?
If there's my one
What's
takeaway
on
from
the
this,
rag?
I finally
Which
understand.
tells you the time period in which it was made too.
I
Yes.
finally understand women, and yeah,
And I finally know what the rag is.
yep,
Which
yep.
is why my drink is named Ye Ol' Ragtime Ginger Mall Fashioned. The name will probably change slightly every time I mention it.
So thank you so much for being here because obviously it would be ridiculous for two grown men to talk about this film without a female perspective. So what was your sort of like overall experience while watching this
With
for the
puberty?
first time? With
Sure.
Tell me,
Yeah,
I want
go
to
ahead.
Yeah.
We wanna go,
Yeah,
get-
not
get-
the
get
I
podcast
do
as
want to
thought
hear
it
about
was.
that.
get as detailed as possible.
Actually, I was kind of kidding earlier when I was like, nobody would want to watch that, but I do think that that's probably why not a lot of people know about it. It is a film about which written by a woman, right? But directed
Mhm.
by a man,
Mhm.
which I thought was also interesting.
Mhm.
But I do think that like that doesn't make for a popular movie, a film about teenage girls that are late to start their periods. And then when they do, she turns into a werewolf, which is like generally what happens anyway. Like,
See, I
girls start their
thought
Yeah.
periods and then they turn into a werewolf,
I
right?
thought
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
girls don't talk about it hardly ever. Man, I thought it was just because that it was a period and it was private, but now I get it. It's because you're all werewolves.
Yeah.
I
And
was
werewolves have to stick together in a pack,
Wolf pack,
you know?
wolf pack.
Wolfpack.
Yeah. Mhm.
I was at the Comedy Cellar one night, and a stand-up comedian had this hilarious joke about how like he was using the metaphor of like his girlfriend when she's on her period, like turns into like she has her period, and he's not allowed to bring it up when things are emotional, and because Mickey, I think you could attest to this. Women don't if a woman is uh, emotional during that time and you try to bring up, well, this is because you're on your period, it never turns out well for the guy. Um, and the guy was just making a joke about making an allegory to like, it's like if my best friend was a werewolf, but we couldn't talk about it.
Sounds like a great joke.
I thought it was funny.
Also, never heard it before.
Yeah, see, Michelangelo, you're slowly walking me into something. You know, when this podcast ends, I have to answer everything I say for the next week.
As I was saying it, I was like, "Oh man, I really should have worked this out beforehand."
You're really throwing
This is
Mickey under
not
the bus
coming
on
off.
this
This is
one.
not coming off. Mickey complains a lot about you.
What?
So back to you, Molly, and your
So back to
experience
me.
watching this.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. And Mickey, you'll have to refresh my memory a little bit, but I was like, oh, what was I say? I was like, oh, I totally got this at the beginning of the movie. And you were like, oh, I didn't get that. Do you remember
Yeah,
what I'm talking
no,
about?
it was immediately when I don't know, it wasn't when she was bent over with cream. I can't remember what it was, but it was immediately you caught on when the mother had said something about or she had expected that they were on their period or whatever. And you were like, "Oh, it's using
Okay,
werewolves as a metaphor."
well, yeah, also,
Yeah,
I mean,
using
it's just
werewolves as a metaphor for
yeah, I just
being
think
on
the
your
whole
period.
thing. And then, and Bridget was like, "But this isn't you. You're not you." And that's kind of the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're not like, why are you being such a bitch?" You know? It's
Yeah.
like,
Or what
I mean, I'm just being a werewolf. But
there there were moments I will say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were
mhm.
watching where I feel like you were like, yeah, actually there is some similarities, like
No,
the
for
she
sure. Well, it was
yeah.
written by a woman, so obviously she knows. She's been there, done that. And I also they were very late, 16 to start her period. That's pretty late.
Mhm.
And poor little Bridget, she just doesn't understand because she hasn't
Mhm.
started yet. And it is like it's the same for boys. It's like a weird time. You're like, oh my God, now what? and then you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. And then
Well,
it was like it really was like she turns into a werewolf because right after she starts her period. And then, she's not acting like herself and she's being like all she wants to do is like make out and have sex with the guy. And like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah,
it's like,
it works.
it's sort of an interesting, weird way to tell the story of female puberty, you
Do you
know?
think it was effective? Do you think do you think it did a good
I think it
job in
was
kind
really
of
entertaining. I think it was fun.
okay.
I think it's kind
Yeah.
of a fun way, and I do think that again, I do think that that's probably why maybe it wasn't super popular or I just don't know about it. I mean,
It
honestly,
wasn't
especially
a
back in the
success when it
day.
came out. When it came out, it
Yeah, and
wasn't a
especially back
success.
in that time, it's like nobody's gonna
Yeah.
go gaga over a film that's female driven and about periods, like when they start their period and then they turn into a werewolf.
Well,
It's just not gonna be super popular.
I'll give you a parallel. There's this other movie about a boy who's kind of in that period too, where he's coming into his manhood, and he turns into a werewolf. And his
Mm.
story ends with him winning the basketball game and being the hero, and everybody wanting to be like him.
And that's a wonderful
Interesting.
movie, but it is campy and male
I'm
driven.
kidding. I'm
And I
kidding.
do think
But-
that the performances, like, they were so good. I was
Yeah,
actually
they brought
expecting
it.
it to be
They
I
brought
was
it.
like, "All right, I don't know." And then I was expecting it to be, kinda cheesy, campy, but the performances were really grounded and really good.
Now, Molly, I have a question for you, and this goes for Michelangelo too. Do you guys recognize Bridget from something else from our
Oh
childhood?
yeah, I was going to bring that up.
From childhood?
Yep, I didn't mention it when we were watching. I wasn't going to mention it until the show. But do you
Yeah.
recognize her at all from something else that
I did recognize her, but I didn't
I'm
know
sure
from
you
what.
watched when we were
Famous
kids.
redheaded character. Famous
Yep,
redheaded character.
I'm sure that
What?
you and I'm
There's
sure
a
that not
famous redheaded character?
when
And
we
this
were
is-
kids.
This would be connected to the King Tyrion section
Yep,
of the
would be
video
connected
store
to
too.
King Tyrion collection. Yeah. Do you know it, Molly?
No?
She was the original Beverly from the TV series It.
Oh.
The Tim Curry It, where he was the clown, The one
I
you watched it with
don't
Campbell,
think I
right? Or
watched
didn't you
that.
watch it with Jackson? Oh, I thought you watched it with one of our
Wait, the
kids. one time.
TV series?
The
Well, it was
miniseries, yeah.
It was a miniseries with Tim Curry. It was like
It was like a 2-night event.
yeah, it's like a 4-hour movie.
Separate from the movie?
not the new movie.
I
Not
know,
the
but
new movie,
the
yeah.
old one.
Yeah, the old movie.
Oh.
It was it's
Yeah,
a
I've seen it.
television movie.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I
I did see it, but I watched it like I watched it because everybody else had seen it and everybody talked about it, and I was like, "Ugh, I haven't seen it," and so I watched it by myself at night. So I probably
Yikes.
didn't see a lot of it.
Ooh, that was rough.
Oh
That's rough.
man, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the young Beverly was played by Emily Perkins, the character, the actress who plays Bridget.
Mhm.
Looks
we
very
all-
different, actually.
Yes, she was 22 when she made this, older than her older sister, Catherine Isabel, by 4 years. Isn't that crazy?
That is one.
That's a real Ralph Macchio situation. I think Ralph Macchio was 22 when he made The Karate Kid.
They always
but-
are.
Yeah, right. There's a couple of
I
other
like to think
than
I like to think I could probably play a 19, 20-year-old.
if you shave your legs.
Shave your
If I
legs.
shave my legs. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. A 19, 20-year-old werewolf. A 19, 20-year-old
Yeah,
werewolf.
yeah, werewolf.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
A couple of other horror connections there. Did you recognize Ginger from anything?
Catherine Isabel.
Mickey,
No.
you should recognize
I should
her.
recognize her from something.
She's in Freddy versus Jason. She has a pretty small
Oh,
role, unfortunately,
shut
but
up.
she's
All right.
wonderful in it. And then the guy who plays Jason, Jesse Moss, he was
Okay.
in. He's like the leader of the punk ass kids in Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh,
Love
shut
that
up.
movie. That's one of my faves.
And,
I
and
didn't
Jason is
know
the
that.
guy that Ginger hooks up with and spreads her
Yeah.
disgusting disease
Gust.
to.
Her
Yeah.
disgust.
Yeah.
On the
So
rag.
so did you? So you guys have boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about like boners and stuff at the dinner table and give your son a boner cake?
Yeah, are you not supposed to do that? Yeah, we do that. It's
Did
like
you
a whole event.
was that anything like what like was your mother as interested in you as Mimi Rogers was interested in her children? Like what was did you connect with that part at all?
Me?
Mickey.
Oh, Mickey. Mickey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
sorry.
When I had
No,
my first period,
When
my
you and your
mom was
mom
very
talked about your period.
yes. She was
Oh,
like, "This
but
is really strange."
but was it like a thing that was celebrated for you, Molly?
mm. I actually have a really sad and terrible first starting my period story, which I don't know anybody wants to hear about.
I
But
would love to hear it if you're okay with sharing it.
yeah, it was actually really bad. My best friend actually helped me through it because she had already started. I was 14, which is the same age that my youngest son is now. Though you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at him. Looks much older.
Yes, he does.
Um, and I was home alone and I couldn't pre-cell phone days. Didn't know where my mom was and couldn't get a hold of her. And I started my period and I was like, oh shit. And I remember going in the kitchen and looking on the calendar, though I don't remember what the date was. But I remember it was sometime around my birthday-ish. And so I didn't know what to do. So I called my best friend and she was like, okay, here's what you need to do. Do you have any tampons? Do you have any pads? And she was like telling me all this stuff. And then she told me how to use a tampon. And
Over the
so
phone?
that was that. Yeah.
Was it cordless or we
It
got
was
the cord?
cordless for sure. Cordless.
Cordless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
at least
was
you had
it
that.
Actually, it'd be a
did,
great scene for a movie. Yeah.
was she successful in her description or were you
For
like what was that?
sure. No, she was great. And then I have since gone on and passed that along to other girls too.
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
So sweet.
Passing
So
it
Yeah.
on.
was your mom excited for
No.
you?
Mm-mm. I don't
Oh,
have a
I'm
great
sorry.
relationship with my mom, so it was
Uh,
not it was like rough times and it was not even like a thing at all. It was yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It
so
was not
sorry to
even
hear that.
it was not even a thing, but that's fine. I mean,
Well, can I ask you
fine.
when that happens, are you prepared? Like I mean, as a woman of 14, had you been prepped for it? Was it like just like,
Not
oh
at
my God,
all.
what is happening to me?
Nothing in
No.
school? Nothing in school? No
No.
videos, no talks,
No.
Oh
no.
shit. How
No. In the
scary was
Really?
that
90s?
then?
In
How
the
scary
90s?
was that?
We don't
Hey,
talk about that shit in the 90s, guys.
hey,
We don't
we
talk
both
about periods or boobs or tampon. No, we talk about boobs, but we don't talk about periods. We don't talk about tampons.
Oh yeah, no, Michelangelo and I talk about boobs all the time.
Yeah,
um
boobs are quite a lot.
interestingly and I cannot say that word right now.
It's easy for you to say.
I can't say there you go. Molly and I actually grew up not too far from each other.
Yeah.
And I remember in middle school, like the boys went off and the girls went off. And like, I don't know why they didn't do this together, but we did the sex ed stuff in middle school in my school
I
district.
don't remember that. Though I feel like at that age I was such a good student and I had straight A's and I didn't fall off of that that train until my sophomore year of high school, but I feel like I would remember that and I don't remember that at all.
That's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
But I will say also in that age I had not yet made it to Kansas City.
Right.
I
You were in a
Mm.
small school.
I
Like,
was in a really small
Tiny.
school, yeah, in Hardy, Arkansas.
do you know what their mascot is?
Mm. Which
Michelangelo?
it's now actually Highland, Arkansas. It's now its own city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
I don't-
mascot
what's-
the mascot at her school was a Confederate soldier.
Ooh.
It's the Highland Rebels school flag, Confederate flag.
Wow.
School song,
Wow.
Dixie.
So
Pretty sure it still is.
so they
Pretty
didn't
sure-
talk
pretty
to you.
sure
They
it's
didn't
lining
talk-
This is lining
Pretty
up.
sure it still is.
It's starting to make sense. That they
Should we
probably
Google
did,
it? Make sure it
they
still
probably
is?
did have a puberty talk with her, but the puberty talk was no
No,
sexting.
just with
Mary.
the boys.
We're
Just
done.
with the boys.
We're done. Men, you're amazing. Guys, you're incredible. You inherit the earth. Women,
Girls,
do not
don't
have
talk
sex until you're
about it.
married.
Yeah, don't talk
It's
about it. You have to be
disgusting.
married.
Listen,
Yeah.
we're gonna have some sex ed talk with you girls. Do you know how to bake?
Why? Wait, where are we in Arkansas? That is
I don't
not
know
an
what this
Arkansas
accent is.
Like
I don't know what
Italian
accent that
guys.
is.
Yeah, see, we had a problem with this in the last
becoming a real
episode.
disaster, Mickey.
Molly, you cannot do that accent.
No, Molly
Yes,
can.
no accents.
Molly's allowed.
No.
She's a minority. She's allowed to do whatever she wants.
do
Because she's
whatever I want.
redheaded.
Do whatever I
She's
want. Wait,
redheaded.
also, not only minority on this podcast, but
It's a running joke in our house. I think it's a joke. I'm not really sure, but
let's
it's
find out.
It said who's more the minority, the Honduran-born husband or the redheaded wife? Because she's like,
Oh, the wife
redheads
every
are.
time.
She's like redheads are a minority. They're like, we're dying out. And I was like,
Hey, Google it. It's true.
But she
Google it.
she
Google it.
says it with such authority and such conviction. I'm like, is she joking, or does she really think that she's the
It's-
minority in this house?
Hey, it's called acting.
Yeah, you see and
Oh.
see. Oh, wait. So,
Or is it?
or is it?
Oh
No, man, double got me twice.
Ew.
Got me twice. You got me twice.
Got you, man.
So, yeah, that's really scary for you. I'm sorry, I'm going back on this.
Wait,
That's
what?
really no, just thinking about being like 14. Like I figured, because this is the
God,
first
it's
time I think you and I
terrifying.
are having this conversation where I figured that just women or like that girls just knew from like
You just know.
5
No,
on that this
I mean,
is
it
eventually
depends
going to
on.
happen.
I actually, it really is all in the parenting. Like
Yeah.
you have to have those conversations with your kids, I think. And I don't have girls. Mickey,
Yeah.
as you know.
Mickey, you do know that, right?
Yeah. I'm kind of an absent
That I
father,
know
everybody.
of.
I figured
Something a
this.
girl
I
never
know.
has to say.
I don't know. My
Um,
son put nail polish on his fingers, and I was like, I think I got a daughter now. I don't know what's going on there.
What is this accent? What is this?
That's my act. I'm allowed to
That's
talk like that.
disaster. Wait, what was I saying?
Yeah, no, you
it's all
don't.
in the
You don't.
parenting.
You don't.
I
You
do
don't have any
think you have
daughters that you know of.
I don't have any daughters that I know of. And I do think that you have to talk about those things. So I've not had those conversations with any of my children, but I have had those conversations with friends' daughters. Well, friend's daughter for sure. And then other girls that were younger, girls that are younger than you. In school, like in high school, I know there was this girl that there was a time that we were at a cheerleading competition and she was on, one of the other squads and she was younger and she started her period and she didn't know how to use a tampon. And I was like, I got this,
You didn't.
So
You didn't have a slow
I didn't-
motion shower scene and then make fun
no,
of her.
and I didn't do it
pelt.
for her. I
Pelt.
just told her how
Yeah.
to do it. Just want to make that clear.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, she was not the Nancy Allen of the.
Yeah. Tell me
was,
more about this cheerleading phase of your life. And
Wait, what?
I'm sorry.
That was the creepiest way of putting that.
Oh,
Look, tell me about this cheerleading camp where you're all
Cheerleaders
where you're,
and,
you're teenage
I'm
girls
sorry.
all on your periods and
Wait,
stuff.
I
Tell me all
will
about
say,
the gym.
this reminds me, I did do a job interview one time in high school, and I must have on my application somewhere put like activities, cheerleader. And I went into his office and he said, he looked at my, the job application, he looked at it and he goes, "So you're a cheerleader, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "So you got some moves?" And I was like, I don't know. Sure. And he was like, "Okay, when can you start?" Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Double-edged
That was-
sword.
That was weird. Mhm.
hmm
And I worked there for a long time. Actually, it was a super fun job.
What was the job?
I was a hostess at Lone Star Steakhouse
Whoa.
in Independence, Missouri.
I believe
Maybe
I
I
have been to
shouldn't-
that Lone
maybe I
Star,
maybe I
actually.
shouldn't give the location.
No, that's okay.
That's okay. That's fine.
We talk about.
Oh,
where we're from all
you
the
mean we got breaking news here, very controversial. The guy who was in charge of hiring the hostess at the Lone Star in Independence, Missouri, kind of a
Beep,
creep.
beep, 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 beep,
Yeah, I
beep,
agree.
beep, 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 beep.
time. That could have been.
know how to rep this program.
That could have been any Lone Star in anywhere in America. I feel like probably the
Well, he
guy
still
hiring
is.
the
Yeah.
hostess. So
Um,
ginger snaps.
Ginger. So Mickey, we
Wait,
didn't really touch on
snap.
this.
So just got to my first piece of ginger in my drink. You're welcome.
Nice.
Heyo.
Snap. Ginger.
Snap.
Ginger. Like, and by the way, the title's kind of we had a double pun there.
Yep.
Ginger snaps.
Snaps.
Snapshots
So does she snap?
of
She
ginger.
does. She snaps.
Oh, she snaps.
Oh, she snaps. You want to see Ginger snap? Watch Ginger snaps.
Mickey,
Yes.
what was your experience watching this for the first time?
Well, the first time you said we are going to do it, I thought there was an apostrophe, so it was going to be Ginger's
It's easy
naps.
for you to say.
And I was like, this is going to be a boring movie about a woman who's constantly sleeping. No, I'm kidding.
God damn, Mickey. That was brutal. That was terrible. Oh my God. That's the worst joke you've done on this podcast. Oh my God.
See, but it's got you. It got you. Okay.
A true dad. You're really living up to Daniel or no, John Bourgeois, maybe Henry Fitzgerald, the father.
Yeah, bourgeois.
But go ahead.
I like to say Borges, John Borges.
John Borges. What's with the Italian again? What are you from?
I don't
the East
know. He's
Coast?
John Gorgeous.
John Gorgeous. He's wonderful. But go ahead. What was your
Were you just doing Jewish Elvis?
No, I'm not doing anything Jewish. I swear on my life.
Oh, we got a problem with Mickey doing Jewish stuff on the podcast. If this is your first episode,
I don't. Okay, I've decided to no. Okay, I've decided to no longer do Jewish accents. I'm trying not to do Italian accents, and I will no longer talk about how the Irish drink too much.
Hey.
Just putting that out there.
Hey.
So Mickey,
Yeah.
Ginger
Saying I drink
snaps.
too much.
No, actually.
That's right.
Yeah, I like you when you're drinking. You're fun times.
Mickey, it's okay. You can be honest in the podcast. She's, you know.
Listen, listen, Michelangelo, she's kind of scaring me. She's like,
I know.
she's been hitting
She
that ball
scares me
pretty
too.
hard. She comes down in the
She's
basement
saying-
like this, and she's like,
She's saying whatever comes. She's like saying
Yeah,
what's on her mind.
being
It's
a
very
little
scary.
open with this
It's
whole
very
period talk.
scary.
You know, I don't know if I like this.
It's disgusting, really. I'm gonna be like
Ugh.
Bridget
Cut
at
it
the end
all
of
out.
the movie.
Just cut it all
throwing
out.
up.
This podcast can be like Molly goes, yes, I once had a period. Cut. Then the rest of us is talking.
And it's just
You
you and me
making your bad
talking.
joke.
And my
Ginger
dad joke,
snap.
Ginger snaps. So what did I think of Ginger Snaps? So I was, first of all, I had heard this because I have seen this on so many like top 10 werewolf movies. And I've told you before, the werewolf is my favorite of the Universal monsters. So I was hip to it. I knew what it was. For some reason in my mind, it was a boarding school that these girls went to. And it was going to
I
be
had
like,
that same thought too,
right?
man.
I don't know
Is it
why.
because
For
of their
no
outfit?
reason.
It's because of their
I-
outfits.
I
She
don't.
wears like
something
skirts
about,
and boots or something.
something about the box cover or something. I don't know. I
Mhm.
probably in my mind likened it to something like The Craft or I don't know. But so I wanted to see it because I'd seen good things about it, but I always kind of was slow to it and I have never done it. So this podcast was great because it made me watch it. And it was really good.
Did you just plug your own podcast?
And it's like one thing great about this podcast, guys.
This podcast was great. It made me watch it.
That's good. You should do
That was
voiceover
good.
work.
Should. I'll think about it.
But what I love about it, and we talk about these movies that do this. Christine, I mentioned, did it as well, but really captures the time period. I think it really well.
Mm,
And this is very
Very much
like
so.
late 90s, early 2000s.
without it being dated.
Yeah, yes,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? It
It's not- it-
captures. It's timeless yet totally
Except
captures.
for
the-
on the rag.
But
Yes.
but it doesn't rely on the time period for it to work, right? It
the-
works outside of the time period, but it has an essence to it that really is of that time period, from the clothes to the way, like the way people talked.
Remember when it first started? Like just the opening shot, I was like, what is this? Late 90s, early 2000s?
But that's just part of like I think what they were they were capturing the time they were in.
Well, that's also that is when I was same age, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, we were there.
Very close. Very close.
Very much.
Very close.
and
Older,
then-
a little older, but yeah.
And this is very low budget film. So
and you can tell the low
Actually, I
budget.
think we said that. We were like, we could make this.
maybe.
Maybe we didn't. we
We
didn't.
didn't. No, I mean, not that we could like actually make that. Wow. Okay. It got real quiet.
If you write a brilliant script and find ridiculously amazing talent, you can make something of a visual quality at this point that looks. It's actually probably you could film something that actually looks better than this. I would say that's
Well, now,
one of the
yes.
only
Yeah.
downsides
Only
of this is
drawbacks.
it does have like a sort of like sci-fi for me like a late 90s sci-fi television movie look to it, but it's
Yeah, for
so
sure.
and I think that's one of the reasons maybe why I sort of wrote it off for a long time. And Mickey, I'm curious about this because this kind of feeds into what Molly was saying at the top of the podcast, and that's I think there was a bit of subconscious misogyny in me that sort of wrote this off as like, I don't know, it's some chick movie.
Neither one of my kids are going to be like, oh, a movie about werewolves and led by girls and it's about their periods. Like, they're not going to want to watch that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I get it.
I will drive in even deeper into what you're saying, Michelangelo, and say that I agree with Molly too. Like our boys are not going to be like, yeah, this is my
Awesome
movie for
Let's
me.
watch it. Yeah.
But I what I love about the werewolf is the struggle that you're getting these innate desires that are happening to you because of the curse, right? Because of what's happening to your body.
Which
Is
curse?
yeah, right. But it's changing you. And and a part of you is fighting against it, but a part of you also is like, this is who I am now. It's my favorite thing with the werewolf. And so many times in my understanding of a werewolf, it was a man. So it was desire and strength and like, like I have all this power. And it was also like addiction a little bit was thrown in there where it's like, I have to feed on this thing. But then it's like, but then I'm really a good guy when I'm not, in crazy wolf mode. And so it always appealed to me in that way. And this was so good to see it from a female perspective in
It is
another
cool.
way. It's super
Yeah.
cool. And I was like, and maybe
I actually
as a
think that
teenage,
it could if you did it like as a remake now
they're
in
talking about it.
2023. Oh shit. Oh snap. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it might actually do a lot better now.
I think it would
I thi-
definitely get a bigger
Mhm.
platform, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
It would be
Mhm.
celebrated for its subject matter
Sure.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that's what yeah. Mhm.
It was really cool. I was like, I think I appreciate it more as an adult than I did. And I feel like as a teenage boy, I might have.
You would have not
Yeah,
even watched it.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
that
I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I think that our kids though, and I'll say specifically Campbell. I think if Campbell has like these two girls that he kind of like he's friends with. It's nothing like that, but he has two girls that are friends. If they threw this on and made him watch it, I actually think that he'd watch it and get something out of it.
Yeah, I actually do think that boys could get something out of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
big
but
time. I wish I had seen
Yeah,
this.
but they're not instigating it.
Maybe they should show this movie instead of probably the weird videos about puberty. They'll just
Yeah.
show this
I-
movie.
it's a if you're into horror, this is going to connect with you. Absolutely, I
Yeah,
think.
and
And
if
you're going to
you're
I learned about the menstrual cycle in a
you're
it was
in 5th
explained to me in a
grade.
way that I didn't I'm an adult man here and I'm like, "Oh, so that's what the cramps are. It's pushing the stuff out. Oh."
Actually, Mickey said that too. I was like,
Yeah.
"What? How do you not
We're
know
not taught.
Nobody
just-
tells us anything.
It's a taboo thing, and it's just like
So,
leave her alone,
maybe-
give her chocolate, like
Give her
Don't
chocolate.
talk about it. Don't talk about it." Well, I had a little event on our most recent trip this last weekend, and Mickey was like, "What? What is it? What? What happened? What happened? Molly, what?" And I was like, "I will say it out loud if you want me to, but I don't know that Campbell wants to hear it."
And then I cowered and got sweaty and said, "Don't say it. Don't say anything. Never mind.
Listen,
Never
I'm gonna
mind."
tell everybody here right now, right here, right now, it was a tampon malfunction. Damn it. I had a tampon malfunction
Ooh.
and I went into a panic,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I came out of it because I had an extra tampon that didn't malfunction. So,
Now,
thank you very
Always
much.
have a backup. When
Backup.
Jason pees blood and he is screaming,
Oh my god.
that's what men would be
that's
like if
so
we had our
if we had a
if we had a
period.
period.
Yeah, we'd be
It
like,
would if anything happens down there at
not
all,
yeah,
that's
not
not what
to
it's supposed to happen. I crumble into
Oh my
pieces.
god. If I were to pee blood like that, I
Oh,
would
it's a
be
nightmare to
I
this
would
day.
check myself in the ER immediately.
Yes.
Immediately. I would be like,
Oh
"Stay away
god,
from me.
I'm
Stay away from me."
dying.
Hey, we're just over here on a full moon cycle. You know what I mean?
I know, it's true. I really do believe ginger snaps. Molly's right. I said it to her a couple times, like, I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm 40 years or I'm of an age. And
Mickey's much older than
Okay.
the rest of us.
Also, anytime someone says I'm of an age, it's definitely over 40.
Yeah. I thought we were watching Ginger's Naps.
Hey, what's this movie called? Ginger Snaps? Oh, sounds lovely. It's just time for my nap.
I take a lot
Meow.
of naps too.
I love naps.
You two are meant for each other. I could
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, we are. That's why when Molly said that we could make this movie, she actually meant that I'd be Bridget and she'd be Ginger, and we would remake this
I would
movie.
die for you. No, you said you would die with me because you had nothing better to do.
I
That
could
was
see
great.
I
That's
could
a
see
great line too.
yes, and I could see Mickey saying too much blood, and I can see your conch. That's like I was like I was hook, line, and sinker on that
Yep.
line. I feel like it's a universal story when you lose your friend or your sibling during this period in your life. Did you guys
Oh,
go through
yeah.
something similar like that
For
too?
sure, I did. Yeah. Mickey,
It's
did you? Yeah, you did.
I did?
You did. Well,
did who?
yeah, you
I
had a
did?
friend that you lost when you were young.
You mean actually like lost?
Yeah.
We're going that deep?
no,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
I wasn't. I didn't
Sorry.
mean that.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
No. Well, I moved from back to me. I moved from Arkansas to Kansas City the summer before I was a freshman in high school. So, and I had a best friend in Arkansas that we were like inseparable. And it was awful. It was awful. It was miserable. Like it's one of like we just lost each other. I moved, a handful of hours north. It's a really tough time in your life to have big changes like that. And it was really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mickey,
Oh.
do you other than losing someone actually to death, which is not necessarily what I meant.
Sure.
Were you able to identify with that?
I'm going to say something that may sound it is not said in a way that I'm trying to sound um I actually feel like I was maybe the lever versus the
Mm.
left.
Yeah, no, I
And
mean, of course.
and I feel that way in my life. I have that tendency with friends that I've had really deep connecting like friendships and love with, and then I kind of grow and I wouldn't say I grow out of the relationship, I just grow into other things. And I yeah, so I understand kind of like the ginger part of it where it's like,
I think
I'm
we all do
different
that,
now.
though. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
it's a
I mean, I think
ginger's
we've
Yeah.
all
like,
done
yeah.
that.
To
Yeah.
some degree, yeah.
Yeah, not in like any sort of malicious way.
But it is, but it's like you never we're individuals, right? And sometimes relationships mean different things to us because of our own experiences. And in their like sister relationship, I think that's what makes it sting a little bit more.
Mhm.
I would
You
die
know?
for you. You said, no, I said I would die for you.
Were you Molly? Did you have siblings? I wanted to see how much connection you had
Mhm.
to
That
your
relationship.
sisters and like the relationship as it's portrayed in this film and how much you
Yeah, I didn't
connected with
yeah,
that.
I didn't have
Mhm.
that. Yeah. I didn't have that would be more of, like that would be more of my friends. So,
Yeah.
my friends have always been really, really important to me, even though Mickey says I'm like the ginger that, like
I meant it in the
I'm the one
sweetest
that
possible
strays,
way.
but I do, but I'm still friends with, like, my best friend in 8th grade that taught me how to use a tampon. I'm still I still consider her one of my best friends, you know?
Were you a latchkey kid?
What do you mean?
Did you have a lot of like were your parents not in the picture a lot? You had a lot of free time amongst
Yeah.
yourself
Oh,
to
yeah.
get
Well,
into
my dad
trouble.
lived Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, not till I got older. I was like but I will also say that as much as I, like, kinda went and did whatever I wanted when I got into my high school years, I, didn't get in trouble. Like, I wasn't I never got in trouble in school. If I did, it always made me very embarrassed and very, like it didn't happen often. And, but yeah, I very much, like, kinda stayed at like, once I got to my high school years, I was always out having some fun, you know? Didn't really have anybody to check in with. Kinda came and went as I pleased.
Did you I another thing I identified with this is how and I think they do a good job sort of explaining like the mother's approach to parenting and like how she thinks it's a positive thing. But like I very much identified with like like at that age you will do anything to not have your parents find out what's going on and they're sort of living their lives and you're living your lives and it's like you could be bleeding to death and you just don't want from my point of view you don't want to get in trouble so
I
you
thought
do
about that,
everything
like
that you can do to not let them in on what's going on.
I thought about that, I was like, "When is the mom gonna come home?" You know? Like, when is she gonna come home and hear all the ruckus in the basement and then come downstairs to find out? I'm like, "Where did the mom go?" She was so concerned, she dropped spoiler, she drops Bridget off at the party to go in and get Ginger, and then the whole thing, and then they make it back to the house, and then the werewolf thing, and then she's like I'm like, "Where did the mom go?" You
That
know?
You
I
know,
feel like that must have been a budgetary thing. I think they were building to a certain ending and then had to I do know that finances changed and in order to finish the film, I believe what you read on the internet, it's not always true, but
The Googs.
as the gigs, as I understand it, they had to sort of like change the ending. So there is that element of like what was going on with the mom, right?
Yeah.
She was so there, and they do a good job explaining earlier. The parents are in therapy. They obviously don't have a great
Mhm.
relationship,
no.
No.
especially man. That scene at the Halloween party. By the way, Mickey, another full moon Halloween night
I know. I
movie.
know. I was gonna
Um,
say that.
uh, um, when she's just like, "Let's burn the house down to the ground."
No.
Yeah,
Your
with your
father, I mean,
father in
he's
it.
just gonna blame me for
She
shit,
was
so,
like,
like,
"What
let's
about
just
With your
dad?"
father in it.
whoa, not the father in it.
I took it as
No,
that.
I
I'm
took
not
it as
I
him
took it as
too. She
that.
was
I
like,
did.
"Oh, well, he's,
I she said
we can just
"We will
start over."
burn down the house and start." She goes, "What about dad?" She
What
goes,
about
"Oh,
dad?
he would ask too many questions," or whatever she
Yeah.
says, but it is very much like,
Okay, I
"Oh,
didn't take
I
it
Oh, I
did.
as
did I
I
did also
did."
2 against 1. I
okay,
did also take it as
okay.
Well,
dad was very
but
much
this
gonna
is
be in the house.
we are
But then I
walking
was like, is she messing with her? I was like, is she just, like, trying to get to her level because 'cause they're always
we
talking about death and how they wanna die.
we are walking into one of the
Interesting.
biggest questions I have about the whole movie, but I wanted to wait. If we're there, I'll ask, but I wanted to wait.
No, I mean, we're talking,
All
so,
right.
like,
You can ask
Here's
anything you want. We're talking periods, talking tampons.
here's the big question I have about Pamela and Mimi Rogers. She plays this line with that role. And especially in that period where she's talking about, we'll just burn down the house and go somewhere brand fucking new, right? We'll just start from scratch.
Mhm.
She's speaking as someone And I'm telling you,
Oh, I know what
someone
you're gonna
who's
say.
done
I
this
know what you're gonna
before,
say. Ah, yeah,
is
yeah.
she
No,
is
she's
she
not a
either
werewolf.
A
She's
werewolf,
not
or
a werewolf.
B, was her sister a werewolf? Was she from a werewolf
Okay,
family?
I think she's not a werewolf, but she knows about those werewolves. I think she knows. She's like,
Interesting. Okay.
"Oh, I know what's happening with Ginger.
Mm-hmm.
She's started her period, and she's a werewolf. I've been through this. I've done this. I've seen
Yeah.
it. You know?
Like on the run. It's a very werewolf story. It's like they got to be on the run, right?
Well, because she finds the fingers,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mhm.
she puts the fingers in the Tupperware, and she's like, "Oh, it's just their toy fingers. Don't worry about it, babe."
And then she
But
makes
then
the
she puts it
leap
in the.
to dig up the body, which is,
Yes.
it's okay. I'll accept that, but it is a leap.
Yeah, and
But
she sees in the freezer. She does the. She sees it.
I
You
will
know,
add to the fingers that she puts the fingers in the
in the
fridge.
freezer.
Oh, in the
Which
freezer.
who puts fake fingers in the freezer?
That's what I was gonna say.
Nobody.
She's concerned. I see the concern on her face. She's like, "Oh, maybe my dumb husband is right.
Yeah, she's like,
Maybe."
"Oh, don't worry about it, babe. It's just their toy fingers." And then she like turns around. She's like, "Oh shit,
Yeah,
I
maybe
know
this
what's going
is.
on
I
here. Maybe
I
these
think
are real
Pamela
fingers."
knows what's going on more than they tell us in the movie.
Uh, I. th- Hmm. That's interesting. I didn't have that thought. Um. Uh. uh but it's a
Yeah.
good theory.
Listeners, write in. Let us know what you think.
You don't think she knows anything about the werewolves?
No, I don't think she. I just viewed it as like she's the fucking best mom, and she is down to burn it all down for her girls.
She's gonna burn that house down. Yeah,
Ride or die.
ride or die. Which in this case for the dad is die.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh.
I have not seen the sequels. Have you seen the sequels?
I've seen the second one. I haven't seen the third one, which is like a
A prequel.
prequel.
Yeah. So no spoilers. We'll do the second one another time. So I don't want to get into it, but just tell me, does it touch on Pamela at all?
Um, it's almost no, it doesn't.
Okay.
Not that I remember it. The sequels just don't have the magic this one has. Is all I'll
Got it.
say.
Do they ever?
Right? Well, I
Right.
don't know. We
I
can
mean,
get into a
I know.
discussion about that, but that's a whole other
Oh
thing.
boy, oh
But
boy, oh boy, oh
Slumber
boy.
Party Massacre 2. Just putting that out there.
let's talk about Sam,
Okay. Let's get into Sam.
because the men really need to be represented on
One,
this.
one of my
on this
favorite
podcast.
early 2000s, late 90s tropes. The drug dealer's always the good guy at the high school.
Yeah.
I
Dude.
know. I thought the same thing. I was like, of course he sells weed.
Do you remember The Faculty? Josh
Yeah.
Hartnett's character? Yeah. It's like there's just this thing in that period.
Josh Hartnett again. Where did he go? Where is Josh Hartnett?
Well, it's very intentional. His sort of ducking out of the spotlight. Yeah, yeah. Also, I learned recently his stupid haircut in The Faculty. His choice. He was like, nobody looks cool when they're in high school.
Listen, his hair, his choice. Okay.
Absolutely. So Sam,
Yeah.
love Sam.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Sam when I was that age.
Sure.
Hey, there's still
Um,
time.
There's still time.
You can still sell drugs to
I'm gonna
teenage
start
girls.
yeah,
Start dealing
yeah,
with teenage girls.
Yeah.
Ah.
Hey, you too could own a van and sell weed out of the back of it.
I could.
You
Couldn't
could.
I? Couldn't
You
I?
sure
You can
could.
still
I mean, the
be
video
Sam.
store's not
Hey,
exactly
you can
raking
do
it in.
anything you want.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Mickey. Would you be willing to be torn apart in order to have sex, Mickey? Especially at that age?
Snap.
At that age?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like he thought about it. He thought
Yeah.
about it. He was like,
yeah.
I mean,
okay, no, I can't. Get off. Yeah.
at that age, it's like you just see something. It's like Ginger when she's wolfing out, man. It's the same way with just guys. It's like it'd be
It's
tough.
that, she's wolfing out. She's on her period. Guys love that stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Powerful women.
But when I was in 8th grade, I was at a party, and there was this one girl
Named
that was
Ginger.
kind of like she wasn't named Ginger, but she was a badass,
And she was a
and
wolf.
she was not a wolf either.
Okay.
But she was badass, and she was smoking a cig, and she walked up to me and she's like, "You ever shotgun a cigarette?" And I was like,
Shotgun a cigarette.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying? Not shotgun a beer, shotgun a cigarette?
shotgun a cigarette. Yeah.
I've never heard of that before in my life. What is
Yeah.
that?
She puts a cigarette in her mouth, like the ash toward her, like inside of her mouth, and you suck the cigarette.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's essentially,
Wow.
Holy shit.
yeah, it's
That
essentially
is badass.
So
Oh
it's-
my
That is
god.
some werewolf shit.
Werewolf. She might have been a werewolf,
She
dude.
might have been a werewolf. She might have been on her period, guys. She
or
might have been on her period.
was.
I don't know.
She was just on her period, which is the same thing as being a werewolf. We've established.
Yeah.
So it was basically essentially a kiss. And did I ever date her, talk to her after that night? No. But I was determined to smoke for the next 30 years of my life.
What is her name and what is her
Because-
address? I will find her and I'm gonna
Because-
hunt her down.
Rip her fucking apart. Rip her
but
apart.
When you're a guy,
In 22 days, I will rip her apart.
there you go. You got to
Oh,
hit
we
your
got-
cycle.
Mark that on this. Okay, we're all
Well,
keeping
now we know.
track.
I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I-
accurate. I'd have to look at
She
my
is not. She
phone.
doesn't know if that's accurate. I can promise.
No,
But,
I just made that up.
But there is something about like a woman who takes charge when you're that age that really is like, wow, I'm like with a real woman right now because she knows what she's doing. It's like a very, very yeah. It's a whole thing.
Molly, did you cheer when Jason is like, "Hey, who's the guy here?" And Ginger's like, "Who's the guy?" She
Oh,
like
yeah.
throws him over, fucking
Oh,
just
yeah.
rips into him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I did love that part. But here's the other thing. Do you think that she acts like that when she's not a werewolf?
We'll never know.
Does she go
Yeah.
back to her normal, I just want to die self?
No, we don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
She was growing out of that. I think that's very clear at the top that like Ginger is like
I also don't think Bridget was ever really sold on it. I think Bridget was
On-
like, yeah, let's do it.
it's just like anything when you're a teenager. You're like fully into this thing, and then you're faced with the reality of it, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like
Actually, don't want to die. Yeah.
yeah.
I do agree with you, Michelangelo. Ginger, when we see her before she's even attacked by there's something in her that's like maybe she's growing out of Bridget a little bit. And that is a very painful thing to see because because when one person is happy with where they are and the other person is growing out of it, that is just it's so painful.
And it happens like constantly throughout your life.
oh, I
Like,
know.
you grow and you change, and sometimes people get left behind for a variety of reasons that are justified and not justified. You know,
Campbell had a little buddy that was like his best friend for years. I mean, every time he would call to hang out, Campbell's like,
that
I
was
just don't
so
want
hard.
to. I'll do
Mhm.
anything but wanting to. And you could feel that Campbell had grown out of that relationship.
Oh gosh, it's
And it
so
was
hard
hard
to be
for
the
the parents.
parent in that moment too.
Yeah, because the other parents are calling us like, begging us for them to hang
Well, because
out.
Campbell's
and
our youngest, also, so we've gone through that before. But the other parent, that's
It
her
was her old-
oldest.
yeah.
Mm.
So she's never. This is her first time.
and it's
Oh
it's
my
doing all
painful
this
to
stuff.
watch.
Yeah.
It is. It's really sad. And you love the parents and you love the families, and then the kids grow apart, and then that's a whole weird thing too when you have kids. you
Is it
know?
ever like that kid? Is it ever like that kid was kind of an asshole? I don't like the parents. I'm glad this is
No,
happening.
no,
No?
no,
Okay.
no, not at all. Very sweet.
It tends
Very
to be
kind.
like when it's your kid walking away, it's kind of like you're so apologetic and so like,
I know
I'm
you
so
feel
sorry.
bad.
I'm so sorry.
You feel bad. I had to have a whole conversation with the mom on the phone. I was like,
Mm.
listen, sometimes this happens. Like, this is about the age that Jackson went through this, and and like friend circles change, and oh my gosh, it's just awful.
It's that first and early rejections in your life that they sting a little bit more.
That brings up something. You guys have an interesting perspective because not only do you have the ability to identify with Ginger and Bridget and some of the the younger cast, but also your parents. So, like, how did you connect with Mickey? Obviously, you connected with the dad.
Henry and I are like simpatico. John Borges is John Gorgeous.
But like as a parent, when
Yeah.
Mimi Rogers is like, "Let's burn down the house," were you guys like, "Yes, I would"?
Well,
Like,
that's
what
why I
was
was
it?
like, she's totally messing with her right now because she's like, I'm just gonna speak her language. I know, but I also thought it was kind of sweet too because I think that she's like, I know what she's into. They do all these like death things, and the mom's like trying to find a way to connect to, you know, have a relationship and to be able to help, you know. So I
Mhm.
think she was like,
That's
let's just
yeah.
burn down the house, and so I think that she, was just sort of saying that as just trying to be a buddy in that moment,
That's
trying to connect with
so
the daughter.
interesting. I've seen this 3 times now, and never once did I like totally I'm just taking her literal.
Well,
Like,
see,
you
yeah,
know?
no, I don't think so. I don't think she's being literal, but it is a movie, so maybe she is.
No,
But
but,
I
like,
mean,
I think that's what's great about this conversation is I get to, like I never would have thought that at all.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, I mean, I questioned it. I'm not 100%, but I was like, she's got to be messing with her, right?
But it's opinion, it's your interpretation, you know?
Yeah,
I can I chime in?
it's
I
his
will say
art.
that also
No, Mickey,
this
no, no,
is
no, no.
No, I'm
The
sorry,
male
Mickey, your
voice will
time
be
is up.
silenced.
there is I will say this about Molly. Molly is it with our own children does that.
I was just
Like
gonna say that. Like Campbell would be like, "Oh, I don't."
Ah.
He'll say like, "Oh my god, I hate school. I don't want to go to school." And I'm like, "You should quit." He's like, I know. I'm like, just don't go.
I got all this crack cocaine. Do you wanna do some of that instead of going to school?
I got a van. It's got some weed in it. I know where there's a high school.
a guy named
Let's
Sam.
skip school. I know a guy named Sam willing to help me out. Loves werewolves on my period. So hence werewolf. Let's do it.
Mom,
Mom,
God,
It's
don't
like, "Oh
talk
my
about your
god, you
period,
skipped
I'm
please.
going to
period.
school. I will get straight A's.
We'll just say it's a full moon."
But fine, I'm going back to school. But Molly will do this thing where like if the kids are like, "Oh, that kid gets my nerves," Mom will be like, should we just like punch him in the face?" And I'm like,
Well,
Molly.
like, I'll be like, "Let's get rid of him."
But there's a there is something that you and the
You need
boys
to put a
share.
disclaimer at the beginning of this.
No, but there's something that you and the boys share that I can't do because like I feel like if I were to be like, "Do you wanna go beat that kid? Let's go roll on him." It's like that's very serious, Dad. Stop. It's like
Really,
yeah.
Mickey, no. Ew,
It's like
why would you
Dad,
say that?
Dad, you were in the army. You're scaring me. But
Yeah, I don't know.
but there's this thing of it is ridiculous what she's saying, but it's so it disarms the kids and
That's why I think
they
she's doing it.
laugh and they're like they feel they have an ally, right?
Well, because I think the kid, yeah, because yeah, Bridget's like, "Oh, really? Okay, all right, yeah,
It's a
mom,
cool
mom,
mom move,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah." She's just trying to be on her level in order to talk to her at all, which we also understand as parents too, because I did feel like when she's sitting at the dinner table and they're fighting back and forth, and she's like, "Oh, that's you're not being yourself." And I mean, as the parent in that situation too, you're like, "Oh my god." Like everything you say, nobody makes you feel like the lamest, dumbest person on earth more than
Than
your
your
kids.
kids, for sure.
I mean, I don't think that I'm stupid, but my kids make me feel like so dumb all the
Yes.
time,
Me
all the
too, all the
time.
time.
Anytime we suggest anything, it's like, "Well, no, why would I do that?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to help. Never mind." And then they end up doing that anyway.
Mhm.
Kids of that age, I will say.
Yes,
When they're younger,
especially.
you are like the coolest person on the planet.
That's gotta be
Yeah.
a rough transition. Yeah,
It's a weird
to go
transition.
from
Should we make a movie about that? About parents transitioning?
That transition
Um,
is puberty. That's when it happens.
it
yeah,
is. It's the werewolf time.
It is.
it's the
For
Yeah.
werewolf
for
time.
for
It's the
for
were
for men and women, it's the werewolf time. They're wolfing out. This is what I mean. This is why the werewolf is the best universal
It
monster.
actually is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally representative of what all of us go through. Our bodies are changing. We're not really sure how to react to
Ew,
these.
why do you talk like that?
What?
Our bodies are changing. Like, that's not a way to chase a child away. They're like,
Look,
"Ugh,
guys, our bodies are changing.
gonna hate this
And
conversation, not gonna hear a
Oh
word
God.
after that. Listen,
there
your
it
bodies
goes.
change."
Yeah.
Ew.
You're gonna see hair in weird places.
Um, I got to tell you, I turn into a werewolf after about 3 or 4 beers. I become
What beer
ravenous.
number are you on right now?
2.
Oh, shit.
So I'm good. I'm
Oh, I
good.
mean, oh, snap.
Oh, snap, Ginger. Um, I become ravenous and I do not care about the consequences of what I eat. I will steal ice cream, cheese, or chicken nuggets from my roommate, nieces, nephews, partner, loved ones, my own mother, knowing full well that this is going to put me into a caloric surplus and that the lactose is going to give me diarrhea, but I do it anyways. So
It doesn't count after
it
3
doesn't count,
beers.
right? I'm like, man, I've been working out really hard this week. Why do I still why am I not? Oh, I guess, yeah, I did.
Yeah, nothing counts after 3 beers, okay?
After 3 beers, it doesn't, I mean, it all goes out the window. Something I'd like to bring up before we wrap up. This is sort of I'm burning things we want to talk about real quickly before we wrap up. I love at the end at the Halloween party Bridget's done this amazing job. She sacrificed herself. She has used her intellect, her relationship with her sister, and her love to coax her out and bring her back to the
Mhm.
house. And
And
Sam
she
shows
knows her,
up and
yeah.
fucking whacks her with the shovel. Like that's just like a man to use like
I know.
blunt force violence in order
Yes,
to
I
get
know.
what
Also,
needs to get
actually,
done.
yes, that scene, I was like, "Duh." She was playing a game. She's trying to get her back to the house. Like, she's working this. And then Sam was like, "Dunk." Yeah.
Oh, Sam.
Oh, Sam.
Poor Sam.
Yeah.
Also,
Stick to your weed selling, Sam.
yeah, and a forgivable thing in this is I've made tinctures from plants,
What
and
is that?
a
What is
tincture is what they
that?
make the extract from the
Yep.
plant material, right?
Oh.
You do use alcohol,
Hey,
but
guess
like
what, guys? This is a learning podcast.
this is a learning
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Just
Tinctures
so
with
you
Michelangelo.
Yeah, tinctures with Michelangelo's. You like you need so much plant volume,
To make
like
that much liquid
to
tincture.
make us you would need off the top of my head, like you would need like 1,000 grams to yield 50 milliliters of plant extract, and you need time. It needs to
Mhm.
sit
Yeah, it can't
for
just
a
happen
really
like
long time. But
yeah.
it's forgivable. It's forgivable, but like I think they had something there that they could have played with in that this takes time to make,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
know? I do like
Yeah,
when she
could have made
uses
it
it
more
on Sam.
complicated, higher stakes.
Right? I think it would have but it's fine. It's fine. But I love it when she runs into Sam, not Sam, I'm sorry, Jason, who's like found a trick-or-treating kid who's dressed up like a dog.
Yes.
He's covered in zits. That reminds me, the poor janitor. That poor guy.
Oh, that poor
Oh,
guy, the
man.
only diversity in this film.
Yeah.
Well,
Also.
no.
No?
If you've been listening to the podcast, you will know that you, Molly, by your own
Are
accord,
are
say
the
that
most
gingers
the
are
Wait, no, they
are.
did, they did. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Idiot. Uh, redhead as the lead, duh. Thank you. Never happens.
You never see a redheaded woman in the lead.
um, is there anything else we want to touch upon before we get to the end here? Any burning questions, commentaries, things that you absolutely loved or hated, like before we finish up?
No. I mean, I
All
kinda
right.
think it's a shame that we don't know who they are more, right? I thought they were all really good. The girls.
What do
Yeah,
you What do you mean?
Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel.
I mean, maybe they have gone on to do things, but I don't know.
Oh no, they've
Just as the
to
actors.
to be fair, I do agree with you. I think they are phenomenal.
They were
And
great. In lesser
uh
hands, it could have been pretty cheesy, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But they have had prolific
Yeah,
careers.
like they're fine. Yeah. But
Yeah,
you just
they're
watch it and you're like, ah, damn, bummer. I don't
I
just
would have liked to have
recognize
seen
them.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them in more mainstream projects. They had the talent.
Yes.
They had
That's what I'm
everything
getting at.
going for them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
bigger roles. Like these were big roles for them, but the film is not as well known. Yeah,
yeah,
but they
and
were great.
I think maybe it's coming.
Oh,
It's becoming more of a
streaming.
thing, and
Yeah.
like yeah. So and Mimi Rogers, the greatest thing she's ever done was that she was married to Tom Cruise for a period of time. Right? You
She
guys can agree with
was.
that.
She was.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you
She
think that
was.
she
She
would
was.
agree that that's the greatest thing she's ever done?
I think so.
And maybe, yeah.
She introduced Tom Cruise to Scientology. She introduced him to Scientology.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang, look what she did.
Oof.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
obviously I was joking. So do we feel that this does belong in the Werewolf?
Werewolf. Sorry, I was late on that. Wow. Do that again. Do
That's
that
okay.
again.
That's okay.
Does this
No,
belong in
that was
this?
perfect. That was
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
a
you to
good
give it.
section.
I'm gonna do it again. Give it exactly the same
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yep.
Does this belong in the Werewolf?
Werewolf.
Section of the video store. Now, Molly, you don't work here.
I don't, but I am a
You loom
frequent
large.
visitor. I loom large. I'm
Yeah.
a
And you're a
large loomer.
customer. You're a
Yeah.
large loomer.
Yeah.
A full bloomer.
You know, I run my mouth, run some videos, and then I leave.
Do you think this belongs in the Vavos section?
Yeah, sure. And also, it could be in the ragtime
I guess we're
section.
getting a ragtime section.
We're getting a
Carrie's gonna be in
ragtime
there.
section. Carrie will be in there. Yeah. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Interestingly enough, this film way less problematic than fucking Carrie.
True.
Wow.
That opening
Tell us how you
sequence
really
of
feel.
That
Carrie.
movie
The way it
starts out
starts
with
out,
a
it's-
slow motion scene of high school girls naked in a locker room. It's
I
fucking
gotta
nuts.
rewatch it. I gotta rewatch
It's
it.
fucking
I haven't seen it in
nuts.
so long. It would be like a new
It's
movie to watch it.
fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Or is
Mickey.
it vag?
Hey, there
Is
you
it
go.
nuts or veg? Join
Is
us
it
tonight.
nuts?
Oh, wait, is that our new game show? Nuts or vag?
I think that's
When talking about films, is it nuts or is it vag?
Is it
Well, this movie
vag?
is very veg. This movie's very vag forward. Very vag forward. Yeah.
Very
It sounds like
vag
you meant that
forward.
as a negative, Mickey.
I meant it as a positive.
It
I'm
did.
all
It
about
sounded very
vag
much
forward.
like, oh, this movie is real
Dude,
vag.
I'm totally hetero. I'm all about vag, okay?
It's all about veg, bro.
My wife is like, oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, badge of honor.
I got okay.
Did you hear what she just said?
No. The return badge of horror.
Oh, badge of honor?
A
Yeah.
badge of honor.
Oh, that could be a section. Can you make a section like called
yeah.
the
Badge of
badge
honor.
of honor?
I think
Yes.
this belongs in the badge of honor.
Mhm.
Hey, as long as it's curated by a woman, I think we can have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not curating that section.
I mean, I want to, but I can't. So, Mickey, does this belong in the Werewolf?
Werewolf? Yes, this belongs in because this is an actual great werewolf movie that totally should be on everybody who likes the werewolf stories radar.
Agreed. Who do you recommend this to? Now, Molly, I need you to pretend like you work here. I need you to tap into your acting skills here, okay? And
Okay.
I need you to pretend that you work here. Who do you recommend this to?
I don't think that teenagers are going to want to watch this movie. Like, I think that you have to be older and over all the puberty female stuff to be able to watch it. So, I mean, watch it with your family. No, not with a family. Sorry, start over. Shit, I don't know. Anybody, like, just adults, parents, you know? I think it's fun
No
for parents
teens?
to watch together. Parents of teenage girls would be interesting. Um, I do think that you can't, like I said, teenagers and kids are not gonna wanna watch this, but adults.
Mickey, who do you recommend this to?
I want to say that I just want to just real quickly go back on what Molly said about parents with teenage girls. That recommendation comes when you've had a conversation with your customer and you know that they're parents of teenage girls. And that is what the kind of recommendations we kind of give at this store. So, my recommendation is the person who comes in and talks about how they love werewolf movies. And I'm like, how can you love werewolf movies and not have seen this film? It is a great werewolf movie. One of my top, I'll put it in my definite top 5, maybe top 3 of werewolf movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, fans of a certain age that love werewolf movies that might also be parents.
Michelangelo, who you recommending it to?
If you're a teenage boy coming into this video store, I'm gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be like, this fucking movie's awesome. There's fucking you see tits. Because you technically do. You see
You
her
do.
extra nipples
You do.
when
Wait, you
Ginger.
do?
Yeah,
When she's a full
When
wolf.
Ginger comes on to Sam, she's showing like when she's like opening her shirt, she has the
Oh, it's
extra
so
nipples are coming in.
gross.
Yeah,
Oh, we didn't talk about that. That was so gross.
yeah. I just adopted
I
some
guess any
kittens.
teenage boy would not think that's gross, though. They'd be like, yeah.
Extra nipples.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's not exactly what. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my point. Is
Yeah.
I think like I would have loved to have seen this as a teenage boy. It would have like opened my mind, and it would have broadened my horizons, and I would have like understood things in a certain way. Um, and then also, like you said, yeah, like I think Mickey makes fun of me for this, but like I do think this is a you come to the video store, you haven't seen this, you need to see this. This is a must see for anybody who is a horror cinephile of any kind.
I think, yeah, you like horror films, you like good horror films. Watch this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Just like understand it was made in the 2000s. It's very low budget. So like you do have to be a little forgiving in the aesthetics, I think a little bit. But that said, for the budget that this film is for, man, they do like a phenomenal job on the special effects, which we didn't really get into. Um, they're wonderful considering the budget and the time
Yeah.
that it was made in, especially at this time. I think American Werewolf in Paris came out and
Oh
everything was going
gosh.
real digital at that time.
Oh, American Werewolf in Paris has so many problems.
Do we think that it was a person on all fours in the wolf suit with like an
It was a
animatronic head?
person. I don't know if they were on all fours, but that was a person. I looked up the name and I'm so sorry that I don't have it for the podcast, but
The
uh,
face the face is animatronic, but yeah, the
Yeah.
movement of the body is very human moving. A fluid in a way that would be really hard, I think, with the
Well,
animatronics.
it just looked like it was a little detached. Like the head looked a little detached from the body in the way that it was something different. It's like I was like, "Oh, that's definitely a person
That is such a hard thing
in
to
that."
pull off, that
For
doing
mhm.
it practical like
sure.
that, it looked good. I was happy with it.
I mean,
I thought it
Yeah.
was a
somebody spent a lot of time and
mhm.
put in a lot of effort
Oh,
to make
Yeah.
that.
and
And
it
I
paid off.
say, bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo. Seriously though, Molly, thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about this film. I hope you had as good a time as I had.
There was a good time to be had by all, it felt like.
Yeah. To get
Mhm.
you down here in the basement to actually, like, joke
Ugh,
around with us and talk
Yeah, I
about I
don't
mean,
mercifully.
normally go in basements.
I'm really proud of you. I will tell
Yeah.
you, Really
Thank you.
psyched that you came down and did this with us.
Yeah.
And
Basements have spiders, and that is something
I
I don't do.
I will put it
So,
out there. We would love to have you back another time.
Yes.
oh, snap.
Only for female stuff, though.
Yeah,
No.
but
Yeah.
only things
I
that we
mean, I
can't.
can
We
really
yeah.
only weigh in on female things.
Yeah, you
So,
speak for all
yeah.
women. Mickey, where can people follow us on Instagram?
Yes, please, 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 please. Come on down to our Instagram page. It's the return slot _ of horror pod on Instagram. Like, share, rate, review, comment, and chime in on the conversation. Also, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, but we really love to have the subscribe button because then we know you're gonna get the latest stuff that we're putting out.
And we've got exclusive content here on YouTube, episodes you can't hear anywhere else.
We do special episodes sometimes, special staff meetings. We just had a St. Patrick's Day episode. So yeah, subscribe so you can get all that good content.
So, again, thank you, Molly, for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you to our friends at Red Tower. Thank you to the amazing animators at Negative Kitty.
Molly, can
And-
we get a howl? Can we get a nice howl from you?
Yeah. Hold on.